Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new week right here on Oneofus.net. Now, if you like what we're doing, or if you don't like what we're doing, you can head over to Oneofus.net. You can check out some of the great content that there is on that site. We've got lots of articles, lots of editorials, lots and lots of great podcasts, all kinds of great stuff. Or you can subscribe to this video by clicking the subscribe button. And it's episode 7 this week, and this week we have got 2 brand new Doctor Who trailers, a return of the Saw franchise, The Conjuring spin-off featuring Annabelle, Adam Driver rumoured for Dick Grayson, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones and Iron Fist are all heading to Netflix, and Star Wars Episode 7 finally gets a release date. I'll also have a brand new feature later on in the show called In Defence Of, where I pick something that's regarded as being generally awful and try as sincerely as possible to defend it in 1 minute. So we've got a jam-packed show, let's get started. So if you're a Doctor Who fan like me, you would have been excited about the 50th anniversary trailer that we got recently. Now this wasn't a trailer for the episode, this was merely for sort of the anniversary as a whole and the whole celebration, and featured a whole bunch of stuff from the past 50 years. But today, this very day, we have had 2 brand new trailers for the episode itself. Now, the first trailer is about 40 seconds long, and the other one's about a minute and a bit. So I'm pretty pumped about this. I really like Doctor Who, and I really love Matt Smith, I love David Tennant, and I really like this idea of what they're doing with a sort of mysterious Doctor that possibly fits in between 8 and 9. A lot of people have been worried that, you know, it's a celebration of the past 8 years instead of an anniversary of the past 50 years. And I do get that concern, and from this trailer it doesn't, you know, scream to me as a look back at the past 50 years. You know, there are things like the Zygons in there and stuff like that. But in a way, you know, I totally understand that, and I totally understand what Moffat said about, you know, it's about looking to the future. And also, yes, it is an anniversary special, but it needs to kind of exist in its own. So 10 years' time, you know, people can watch this episode and it still continues the series in a sense. So it kind of has to balance those 2 acts of being an anniversary episode and also just being an episode. And I know a lot of people are complaining that all 11 Doctors don't appear in it and things like that. And to be honest, I'm not too fussed about that. I don't really want to see an aged Tom Baker in there looking like a kind of raisin and things like that. I would love to see Christopher Eccleston in there. I'd love to see the 8th Doctor in there, Paul McGann. And I really do hope that they get worked in there somehow. You know, the last episode that we had, which was The Name of the Doctor, we did get all the Doctors through sort of archive footage and things like that. So it's not something that's unprecedented, but you know, I'm happy to kind of get what we get, and I'm really excited about what I've seen so far. I've got my ticket booked for the cinema screening in 3D, and I'm very excited. So if you've heard me blabber on at all on the site, you'll know that I used to run a podcast called the Saw Podcast, which was a podcast dedicated to all things related to Saw, news, previews, discussions, you know, analysing the characters, all kinds of stuff like that. Lionsgate have revealed that they're actively looking at bringing back the Saw franchise, and not in a rumoured prequel, but in fact with Saw 8. Now, the Saw franchise gets a lot of hate, and, you know, I'm kind of going to have to put up my shields right now to even say this, but I absolutely love the Saw franchise. It's had its ups and downs in terms of films and quality, but overall, I really enjoy it. I really like, I listen to you, Brian, a lot talking about this, you know, how they killed Jigsaw in Saw 3 and managed to have sort of 4 films after that. But I really liked the fact that they did that, you know. Jigsaw, and the idea of Jigsaw became more than just one person. It became... What the hell? It became a lot of people, and it became sort of this, almost a religion, I guess. Saw 1 is absolutely great in terms of filmmaking and independent filmmaking as well, with James Wan and Leigh Whannell, who, James Wan's now gone on to do great stuff. Need for Speed is his next thing. And I really liked the kind of, as Chris put it, soap opera style. And I really liked how each film was a continuation, often taking place, moments after the last film. I really liked all that. The last entry, the final chapter, Saw 3D, ultimately was a disappointment. There were some things in it worked. The Dr. Gordon stuff actually worked. A lot of the other stuff didn't work. Dream sequences, all that kind of stuff. Who really needs that? And I hope, originally this was the plan was 2 final films, which would have sort of expanded what Saw the final chapter ultimately became. So I hope that they can rectify and continue the franchise on. I'd much prefer to see a sequel rather than a reboot. I don't want to see a retread of Saw 1. So I know it gets a lot of hate, but I know that there's a lot of fans out there, and it did dominate for all those years. So I'm quite excited about this, and y'all can suck it, I guess. Game over. So speaking of horror, The Conjuring, which was a great horror film that came out recently, great ghost story. It didn't reinvent anything, but the scares were genuine, and it was a really great film. No surprise that they confirmed that they're looking at creating a second film. But news this week came that they're looking at creating an Annabelle spin-off. Now, Annabelle is this creepy doll that features in the film, and we kind of catch the tail end of her story, I guess. You could say, in The Conjuring. So this would be a prequel set before The Conjuring, and all the kind of things that she gets up to. Now, on the back end of what I said about Saw and why people don't like Saw, the fact that they sort of milked the cow so much. Is this a case of milking this franchise now for all it's got? Annabelle was a great idea. It was really genuinely creepy, but can it sustain a whole film? Do they need this film? Is it going to be as successful? Is it going to be as creepy? Or are they just looking at cashing in as much as they can? I do have that in my head, but again, I really enjoyed The Conjuring, and that doll is genuinely creepy. I know the guys at Digital Noise in their last episode, last week they gave away an Annabelle doll, so whoever won that's brilliant, because that's really creepy. I hope you're not dead. And this could be interesting. It could definitely be interesting seeing that franchise continue. Let's just hope it continues sort of well, and it doesn't become a sort of dead horse. So today there was a Superman live event featuring Kevin Smith, Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill, all the people, sort of the main characters of Superman, and a lot of focus has turned now to Batman versus Superman. We got the reveal at Comic-Con, and now we know that that's definitely going to happen. We know that Ben Affleck's going to be playing Batman. There have been rumours circulating that Wonder Woman is going to appear in the film, and also a brand new story that featured this week is that Adam Driver, who I'm actually not familiar with, is rumoured to be playing Dick Grayson. Now, looking at this guy and looking at some of the comments on the old internet, there seems to be, I guess, a backlash is kind of a hard word to use now after the Ben Affleck thing. Give the guy a chance, by the way. A lot of people are criticising how he looks and the fact that he doesn't look anything like how Dick Grayson should look, or that Dick Grayson shouldn't appear in the film at all. Now, initially I kind of thought the same thing. I kind of thought, whoa, this guy he looks a bit strange. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, good, I'm glad they've got someone who's not ugly or anything, he just looks different. And I'm glad, as someone who is an actor and who isn't the best looking guy, that's great to see someone who's actually getting work, who isn't Hollywood's sort of through the system perfect good looking. So fair play to the guy if he gets it, and if he doesn't, fair enough. But I think this harsh keyboard gangster, as I like to put it, criticising how he looks, and the same thing with Ben Affleck, not giving the guy a chance before he even gets anywhere near filming the film. It's kind of just a bit unfair, and it's kind of sad that we've came down to acting like this whenever any piece of news is announced. So Star Wars Episode 7 has finally got a release date, so mark in your diaries December the 18th, 2015, because that's when it's going to come out. So, a great Christmas present for someone, or a great thing to see just before Christmas. So we're almost in December, so we've got over 2 years now to wait still. Very hard to get excited about this because it is so far away. The only things that we've heard are merely rumours, little tidbits of, Luke Skywalker returning and things like that. Right now, it doesn't really feel all that real, and I think maybe this time next year, or into next year anyway, it'll start feeling more real as we start seeing artwork or production images or things like that. Now, on the Star Wars front, apparently there was a casting call for Disney, which apparently is for Star Wars, although the character descriptions were very vague. And this casting call takes place in the UK, so we've got places like Glasgow and Manchester, London, that kind of thing. And given that I live about 80 miles away from Glasgow, it's a little bit tempting, getting a movie by Star Wars. The casting call calls for someone who is athletic and good looking. I wouldn't really consider myself either of those. Kind of getting bigger and bigger. So probably not me who would be casting this. If they were looking at recasting Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe you got the beard. But I don't know. Star Wars doesn't feel real for me yet, and I'm sure it will do in the coming months and years. Okay, so it's time for a brand new feature called In Defense Of. Now, I talk a lot about things that excite me, news that's coming up, films, movies, whatever. And but what about all those things that aren't so good? What about all the things that have came past throughout the years that are generally considered awful? Now, I don't mean things that divide or things like that. I mean things that really are considered to be awful. Now, since we had a bit of a Doctor Who conversation this week, and because you guys can't pick anything for me right now, I am going to choose the 1993 Children in Need crossover, Dimensions in Time. Now, if you haven't checked this out, I do recommend you do so, just for the laughs. I'll put a link right here, and you can check it out. Now, I'll have 1 minute to defend this. Get the 1 minute here, and I'll put it up on the clock. And we're going to go and start right now. So this is Dimensions in Time from the BBC. So Children in Need like to, create these crossovers and do things for Children in Need. So in 1983, they did Doctor Who one. Now, it had been a while since it was cancelled, and this was the return of not only the most recent, but all of the Doctors returning. And what could be better than a multi-Doctor story with every single Doctor up until that point? A merging of BBC's two biggest franchises that could have created a brand new and interesting continuity. EastEnders is still going strong, and Doctor Who's still going strong. We could have had these two shows blend together and the Doctor show up at the Queen Vic. It would have been awesome. So hilarious pokes at characters of EastEnders and their demises. So we had these future scenes, and they would talk about how people had died or were going to die, and none of it ended up being true, but it was really, really cool. Amazing special effects that pushed the technology and what was doable. I mean, those 3D effects, oh my god, they were mind-blowing. Everything was so fantastic. And a genuinely good thing to end off. It helped raise money for children in need. And I don't mock that one. That's good. Look at that. Done. So, yeah. So, Children in Need, yeah. Doctor Who, yeah. EastEnders, yeah. I really like EastEnders, but EastEnders was quite young when this happened. It had only been on about 7-8 years, and it was just the strangest thing seeing all these Doctors running about a soap, and it was just ludicrous. Definitely check it out. Okay guys, head over onto Oneofus.net for more great content, or you can check out some of the awesome podcasts that the guys do, including Inside the Locker, Digital Noise, and even a brand new radio play that they do called Infinite Variations. They're on episode 2, so there's not so much to catch up on, and it's really, really great. If you're a nerd and you're into anything nerdy, you'll definitely enjoy it, so check that out. You can follow One of Us on Twitter at Oneofus.net. You can head over to the One of Us Facebook and like us over there. Keep up to date on everything. I know Chris also updates with Amazon deals of the week and things like that, so you really should check out over there. And if you have any suggestions for what I could review for next week in the In Defense of, do comment below. I'm really worried actually what you guys might think of. I'm thinking Batman and Robin might be one of them, which actually is a childhood favourite of mine, so that might be quite easy. But if you've got any suggestions of things that you think are so bad that we should talk about them for 1 minute, do comment below. You can follow me on Twitter. You can really just keep up to date with everything. And thank you for watching again. I will see you next week. Yeah.